Hello guys, uh, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and let's get things rolling. And I believe yesterday we had a good time. We went through some introduction, and we did some expectations on what you're supposed to do. And I told you very well that Dimox Designs Creative will take you through the graphics design. And as we started, I took you through the expectations, and we almost did everything on all the expectations that you're required to have them in mind, at the back of your mind. And we also discussed on definitions to graphic design, and we spoke more on that, where we said graphic design is all about creating visual hierarchy and page layout techniques, and where designers use uh, typography and pictures to meet the expectations or specific needs of the their clients. So today I want to take you a step next step ahead, so that we can have a move that is progressive. And today I want to talk about simplicity. Yeah, we had previously, when I was starting with you, I remember I showed you things that you must know. We talked about definition of graphic design, issues to do with storytelling, problem solving, and research, accessibility, inclusion, and content simplicity, and consistency, constraints, hierarchy, typography. So I will not go through all these in the way I have aligned them, but I will do it randomly. So guys, bear with me. I just want to make the class have more fun, and we create things as we continue. I don't want to be very rigid and follow the steps that I had done here, but I want to take you through what we call simplicity. Simplicity, I told you, is one of the key elements that a designer must have. What is simplicity? We have to first of all have a definition of what is simplicity, so that you can understand from which point of view are we talking from, and from there you will be able to actually know what is really required when it comes to simplicity, or when you want to be very simple and make things work in a very simple way. So simplicity is one of the most important elements to consider while designing, or while aspiring to become a designer. And customers may come with, of course, very rigid or complex issues or problems that needs you to come up with simple ways of creating the hard things that they bring to you. They bring things that maybe are not easy to interpret and understand, or to be interpreted by the consumer. And for you to make consumers understand what the client has brought to you to design for them, you must you must actually make it very simple and make it look very simple for consumers. It is clear that design can reduce fear, uncertainties, and doubts, but with a good designer, the complexity can be reduced to nothing through design. So without good communication to the audience, it may become a little bit difficult or tricky for clients to understand what the products you're trying to come up with are. And but with a clear design message, with details of your product, will the product it will make the consumers understand, and make them easily interpret what actually you have come with And if you look at how movies or videos or songs elements are put together to bring out something very attractive, something that people can listen, something that people can watch, you find that most of the times, if it's a musician, as they do their music, sometimes the flow of the message doesn't come automatically. They have to either come with a rough or a draft product of what they want to bring out, and then they rearrange the music, the elements, or the choruses, or the stanzas. Like they say, stanza 3 should be the first stanza, stanza 2 should come after the chorus, stanza 3 should come also after a chorus. There's a way they design it, there's a way they arrange it, so that the consumer or the end user can easily understand what actually the music is all about. So as I had said, movies or video songs elements are put together to bring out something that is elegant. The ideas behind them, for a movie to be most watched, the elements must have been well organized and simplified to create a product that the end users may like. And then a designer's job is to carefully look at the problem the client wants actually to be solved. The problem may be very complex for the end user to actually understand, but with clear goals and objectives, the designer will be able to come up with a very simple design that every user will understand. The designer will critically look at the client's idea and remove all the complexities, so that the end user will not see it, but maybe at the back end, or the back of the mind of the producer, the designer, or the client to the designer. They will know actually, before this product came up for the end user, there's so much that was done to reduce the complexities and all that. For example, if maybe you want to design a website, or you want to develop a website, there's always the hard work done by the developers through coding. But the end user will not be able, they won't see anything to do with coding. They won't understand whether there is anything that is called coding that happens, because their job, or their work, is to just go through the application and interact with the application, and either get so much attracted to the application and easily understand how to move from one point to the other point, or from point A to B, in a very simple way actually. And the end user may know nothing about anything to do with coding, or about the end product, which is a website, is something that they will enjoy, because it is very simplified. Yeah, so sometimes you find the designer will have to sit down and think inside and outside the box, and beyond the skies, so that they can see a way out, or bring out a product that the end user will be able to walk through in a very simplified way, in a way that they can easily understand and easily interpret or do something. Some applications that are done by some of the designers or developers, they don't actually make the consumer feel happy, because if I am a consumer and maybe there's an application that I want to, maybe it's an application about say music, or say an application, or a store, or something that is say something that is different from a store or a music. Let's talk of maybe a food store. A food store is where when you open an application that's all about food, you need to go through different menus of foods, and then maybe you want to make an order. The application should be so simple that if I want to make an order, I will easily walk through the processes in a very simple, simplified way. If I want to maybe order more than three items, or I want to order more than 4 or 5, or I only want to order one item, there's a way. If I order two somewhere, in the screen, it shows a basket where somewhere where the number of orders that I do order, I can see. If I should also see the price, I should also see the items that I have chosen. I should also see the next step, whether it is a checkout step. I should see myself being asked for details of where I come from and all that, and inputting all the details. I should see a step ahead on issues to do with payments and all the and the logistics of delivery of my product. Something that has a flow in the process of accessing. So some systems or some applications are not easy. You cannot find out where you are. Sometimes you get lost in the middle of the application. So that makes it a bit tricky and not more simplified for the consumer. Consumers have no time to learn these things. They need to just get in and walk through, and just if it's something they want to buy, they will easily buy. So a designer will have to come up with a step-by-step process where they will easily interpret or make make a walk-in consumer or a walk-in client easily get through the system and get what they want. The other thing that I wanted to talk about today, of which I told you today I won't talk more. I only concentrate on two things. I have talked about simplicity, and now I will talk about constraints. So let me define for you what constraints are. Okay, constraints is something that limits or restricts someone or something. Okay, something that restricts you from doing something. If I want to do something, or I want to achieve a given goal, I want to make sure by end of this year I have my own resolutions, and by the end of this year maybe I want to have a car, I want to have a house, I want to have a piece of land somewhere, and in the process there are constraints. There are things that hinder you from achieving or getting to your best level, or to the maximum level of your objectives or your goals. So a constraint is something that will restrict you from buying that piece of land, something that will restrict you from getting that house or getting that car. So definitely when I talk of constraints from that point of perception, you will easily understand that between the period of the set goal, the period a set goal that you set so that you can achieve the goals, you will have a few barriers. What are these barriers? Some would be like, let's talk of money. Let's talk of you have insufficient funds, or let's talk of banks, they are not willing to give you loans, or let's talk of economy. The economy is so poor that you are not able, the value for money is actually affected in one way or the other. And constraints will always limit you from achieving your goals. Now, um, if you have something that that limits you, or a control that limits you or restricts you from achieving something that you are planning to achieve, that is what we call a constraint. It will deter you from getting to where you wanted to be. In design, constraints are things that may limit you from achieving your goals. Constraints can limit you from accomplishing your design work, and constraints may come from maybe the technology that you're using, or from the customers, or from the environment, or it may even come from the government. Constraints also can help you come up with better ideas that will solve the customer's problem. So we've talked of technology. If you have very poor technology, like for example, you want to actually learn through with me, but you don't have internet connectivity, or you don't have money that will help you get access to internet, so that is a constraint that will not help you come up with the objective that you had set. In design, if maybe you wanted to design a logo for a given company, one, if we talk of technology, maybe you don't have the best technology in place, you don't have the best application to come up with the best logo that you are looking for, so that hinders you from actually achieving what you had planned. Customers may also see that your design is there, very nice, well presented, but customers are not attached to it. They don't feel it. Either the products or your design work or your marketing strategy can also hinder you from getting there. The other thing we talked about is the government. Maybe the product that you, or the designs that you're trying to come up with, they have a lesson or a story or information that is maybe prohibited to be actually for use by the government. So constraints will hinder you from coming up with something that you had planned to come up with. So also the screen of the work intended to be done can also be a constraint. Okay, file size, text and images may affect your design. If you come up with maybe you wanted to design an application for a mobile phone, that application won't work well in a laptop. It won't work well in a machine that has a bigger screen. So that's a constraint. It will not be able to perform well in a machine that it was not intended for. So yeah, big screens may become short of your design. If you are designing something for small screens, your customers may be on a network connection that is slow and expensive, with bandwidth limitations and data caps. Those are constraints. So while you're working on design, it is always important to actually know that you will meet these constraints. You will also have a hard time to coming up hard time to convince your customers, your consumers. We talked about the things that may hinder you from achieving your goals, and definitely what limits you or restricts you from achieving or accessing or acquiring your intended goal is what we call constraint. So today I want to talk less. I want to talk about those two things. I want you to understand them and to easily put them in your mind. Simplicity, and we talked about constraints. So in the previous topics we talked about definition of graphic design, and we also talked about what you must know. So when we talked about what we must know, we talked of so many things, but today I wanted us to have a look at simplicity and constraints. So guys, thank you for having this short period or short time with me. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Thank you for liking and sharing to your fellow colleagues. I believe that we're going to have a good time so that we can make it happen. So thank you for everything. May God bless you as we continue.